So we're off to a good start on day 3. It's a beautiful morning, but you know what they say, pink sky in morning, sailors take warning, and we do have a weather system coming in. So we're motoring now at 2000 RPM, pushing 5 knots, and there's a pretty good swell. I can see it out in front. You can see the waves crashing over here on the left. And basically there's a giant storm system where the Pacific High normally is. That kind of collapsed and it's bringing a ton of wind and rain. And here's all the swell coming into the jetty this morning. So we can make it to Ensenada today. Probably late at night we'll be pulling in. And the next 3 days after our arrival are predicted to just be 30 knots of wind and rain, and it's just gonna be nasty. So we're probably gonna stay in Ensenada for a while. This morning we had a very interesting electrical failure. We woke up with no 120. Our brand new 3000 watt inverter just failed, and I'm installing a spare inverter because we had the foresight to bring a spare. So here's the spare. And that was upsetting. So once we replaced that with a spare 2000 watt inverter that we own, we got underway. Our first task this morning is to verify the wind direction and intensity, then to plot a course across the Mexican border. Once we clear the dense kelp near the jetty, the plan is to make a 90-degree turn to port. This will put the true wind on our port quarter and require us to use the spinnaker pole with the jib in order to make any progress without the engine. First, attach the topping lift to the jaws and hoist the jaws to waist level. The jib sheet can then be passed through the open jaws, making sure to route it in the correct direction. The jaws are then locked shut, and the jib sheet is followed all the way to the cockpit to ensure it's routed properly. I lift the butt end of the pole on my shoulder, then push it forward to clear the shrouds. Clear the baby stay. The butt of the pole is then locked to the butt lift on its track. There we go. Oh, Sam, I put it on the wrong side. Oh. Pull hard on the jaw release to drop the lazy sheet. All right. Disengage the butt from the butt lift and place the pole on deck in order to reach the open jaws. Now the active jib sheet can be placed in the jaws. Oh, and one more thing. And I've forgotten this. The foreguy needs to be attached to prevent the pole from interfering with the shrouds. The foreguy must be routed under the lifelines to prevent them or the stanchions from being destroyed. Ask me how I know that in the comments below. Now let's put the pole up. Out. You get the picture. Okay, we've just turned to port. What? Anemometer is spinning really good. Wind is on our beam, so now I'm gonna go ahead and ease out the main. So we've just turned off the engine. We've got the sails out. Wind is pretty gentle. It's kind of that same wind on the beam, pulling out the jib. We've got a couple raindrops here and there. I've got the fishing pole out, and I'm gonna make myself some breakfast. What do you think, Skipper Sam?
About the weather?
Just in general, any comments?
It's very chill right now.
Yeah?
I appreciate that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we're headed straight for the Coronado Islands. You can see them right there on the horizon. There's the outermost one, and the ones that are inland are over there. And the plan is to kind of just jibe around them. So here we are, and we're just gonna clear the islands. Those are the islands right there, out, and then we'll jibe back in and head down the coastline. So that's the route, and we're probably gonna arrive in Ensenada tomorrow. We're going a very modest 2.5 knots.
What's up?
Well, I'm troubleshooting the 3000 watt inverter. So right now I'm about to hook it up to the battery, and I think one of the things that often goes bad is the connections between all the different components, like the control systems. So I've got this LCD panel up front here, and this is responsible for turning on the unit and switching the MOSFETs to do the inverting. And sometimes, you know, the connector or the power supply to it will go bad. So it'll be something like a little voltage regulator or a resistor, or something will blow out, or the wires will pull out. So right now, I'm just gonna connect the inverter to the battery, and I'm gonna check to make sure that the little control board actually has voltage. Okay, so power is getting to the control panel, and these wires are actually backwards. So red is ground and black is 12 volts. Yeah, go figure that. Yeah, whoever wired these in the factory used the wrong colors. I don't think that's the problem though, because that was already connected. So I think that, so I know power is getting to this board. I think the problem might be this voltage regulator right here. Alright. Alright, so if we follow the traces, once the power comes in and power is black, power comes over and straight into this voltage regulator right here. I can't read what's on it, but I would guess that that's the problem right there. And then it comes out this side. Alright, so let's see. Just as I suspected, the voltage regulator failed and destroyed the microcontroller. Basically, this $300 inverter failed because of a 3-cent component. And as I was fiddling with the probes, bang! The fishing rod started letting out line. Are you sure this is fish on?
It just went fish on. It like zoomed out, so something might have bit it and let go.
No, I think it's either kelp, Sam, or it was just a strike. And it turns out there was no fish after all. But then...
could handle that seriously screwed up kind of meeting that we just
Michael
had.
might have a fish.
She's got what it
While
takes
we're
for grad
watching
school.
Miranda's
But there was
dissertation.
one problem. This was like the
Defense.
biggest caveat. She really wanted to do sleep.
My money's on
And this
kelp.
was
Your money's on
an
kelp?
era of my lab prior
not-
to really
not
being
fighting at
introduced to
all.
sleep research. I didn't
Oh
know
yeah, it's
anything
fighting.
about sleep.
It's fish on.
Fish on!
Thanks,
I know a lot
Miranda.
about
Thanks,
Alzheimer's, I know a lot about
Miranda.
neuroimaging, but the sleep component was missing. On Zoom, we're going to be joining us on Zoom.
Oh yeah.
And
You have
you know, she's
1%
asleep.
battery on the
Oh, there
GoPro.
she is.
I have more batteries.
Oh,
Here it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh. Of course, she had just joined us.
That
Whoa!
looks like a little tuna.
Oh!
That's a bonito.
Bonito!
That's a proper bonito. Okay, so here's the amount of bonito that one fish landed us. We're just now passing the Coronado Islands in Mexico, and there's absolutely no wind, so we're motoring. The mainsail is just flogging in all of the swell. Keeping the pull here just for good measure, in case I need to use it again. But I thought there's something pretty interesting that I wanted to point out. Check out the cross swell that's going on. I don't know if you can pick this up in the camera, but there's a swell going that way, and then there's a swell going that way. And you can definitely feel the swell being reflected off of that island. Both of those islands, actually. And there's a giant underwater seamount that comes up to them. We're in a very deep basin here, and then it gets shallow over there. Hey, it's about 3:40 in the morning. We're just arriving at Ensenada. You can see the lights behind me. Port is straight ahead. It's my watch. Sam's dead asleep. I'm just gonna bring us into the breakwater and find one of the marinas and tie up to a random slip, ask for forgiveness in the morning, and offer payment. So we'll see how that works out. Fingers crossed. Alright, so we made it safe and sound. We grabbed a slip here in Baja Naval. And yeah, I'm gonna get ready for some sleep. It's 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. 5:12 in the morning, and we made it to Ensenada. We had to motor the entire night, but we're here. It's very calm, very chill. I'm gonna freshen up for bed, get some shut-eye. See you in the morning.